Hi, my name is Gary Unger, and this is how I lost 120 pounds. And basically, it's going to be kind of the journey of what it took me to start losing weight and what I've been doing to currently keep it off. I'll also be looking at some of the more personal side as far as like what it's done to my health, both good and bad, and some things that have yet to change as far as the diet's done nothing for certain problems. So anyway, we'll talk about it in a little bit here. So my original intent was to do this in a presentation, like in a small classroom or something like that, just to invite people and whatnot. So this, we'll just go through the presentation and then we'll get on with it. All right, so this is not going to be in detail, like portion sizes or measuring the ounces and stuff like that. There's going to be none of that. We'll just hit some. I'll give you the overall story, hit kind of the main details of what I did, and then we'll get into the after effects after all that. So I went basically from a max weight of about 300 pounds in mid 2018, and then down to 180 pounds. And then, of course, it took me about a year and a half, roughly. Right now it's 2020. So a year and a half took me to do this. So if you're expecting fast results for your weight loss, for something of this nature, it's going to take a while. So be prepared for that. And we'll talk a little bit about that as well. So just so you know, I'm at 190 right now. Basically, I've been lifting weights, and that's contributed to some of the uptick in that. So first things first. This is not medical advice. Your results may vary. The following statements have not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration. The opinions expressed are not intended to diagnose, treat, or cure, or prevent any disease. So just make sure that this is my opinion. This is just my experience. And again, this is just what I did. It's not telling you to go do it or anything of that nature, but whatever you can learn from it, then take it and apply it to yourself, and always seek a medical doctor's advice on what you're going to be doing. So, all right. So here's a before and after of me. You see me in the that's a Coca-Cola shirt. That's me. That's not a stretched photo or anything like that. That's me. And that was roughly the beginning of 2017, 2018, I believe. And then, of course, this is me nowadays. So still haven't reached my overall goal of still carrying some fat in my midsection here, but doing a whole lot better, and then moving a whole lot easier. So one of the first things that I'm going to tell you about is the changes I've noticed in my living, right? Changes I've noticed, and some of them are kind of odd. So the biggest thing that I've noticed is my cognitive increase. I don't have brain fog anymore. I'll tell people the story of a job that I have where I had to drive to a certain distance, a certain exit and whatnot. And I'd visit that place about once a month. And I'd probably hit the place a good 5-6 times when I first started the position. And I could never remember which exit I had to get off on, and if I turned right or turned left, that type of stuff. I just remember that I had to go this direction. That's all I remember. So I always had my GPS on, so it would remind me that I need to turn at the next exit. I don't have that problem anymore. Now I'm older, so I do have some memory things, but I can drive straight to any particular location that I need to go to for my position, and I don't have to worry about my GPS at all anymore. So, and that's not just from repetition, because none of this was increasing. I had GPS plugged into every location that I had to go to. So, and now all that is pretty much gone, unless I'm going to a new place. But anyway, so cognitive increase. So some health issues that greatly reduced, I'm not going to say cured, because some of them did go away. Others are still kind of there. They're just not as much. So I don't have as much allergies during the seasons anymore. I used to get hay fever, winter, the grass and whatnot. I would have allergies all the time. I'd be sneezing. I have to take allergy pills, that type of stuff. It was horrible. So I haven't had to take any of those at all in the last year and a half. Well, yeah, I should say the last year. All right. So a lot of my lessened joint pain Again, I'm still an older gentleman. But I am not like I used to be able to. It took me a while to get up off the couch at the heavier weight, not just from the weight, but because my joints just didn't want to free up. They creaked, they groaned, they snapped and popped quite frequently, and it was just not an easy experience. So if I got up, I'd have to wait for my knees to kind of get themselves together. I'm got a lot less snoring. I still do snore, according to my wife. But it is a whole lot less. So if you went from a volume 10, I'm probably maybe a volume 2 to 3 as far as snoring. Fun fact is I used to get a lot of earwax buildup, and I don't have that anymore. Matter of fact, it's almost pretty much gone for the most part. I very rarely have to clean my ears out. I don't have hearing issues from that anymore. It's just a weird little thing. So another fun part is the ear, nose, hair excess. You so some of these guys with hair that just comes straight out of their ears and just a whole lot of it, or just a whole lot of nose hair, that they don't trim. So anyway, I noticed that I used to have like some like one or two little pieces of hair that would just suddenly like grow up overnight. It was big old gray, thick, coarse hair that would grow out, and it would be longer than my normal hair. So it was just kind of a weird thing. And I thought it's just kind of part of aging, that type of stuff. So, but ever since then, those little hairs on the side of my ears and whatnot, they have not been growing out there, especially the ones that came out frequently. I've barely seen one grow off my ears in quite a while. So another fun fact, if you got a partner, my feet don't smell as much, and the itchiness has gone pretty much away. I used to have athlete's foot, and that is pretty much gone. I'd say it's about like 95% gone. There's just a little bit of left over as far as like having to treat it type of thing. So it's just one of those things that I noticed that I don't have those particular problems anymore. All right, so here's the short story. And it's not in sequential order. It's one of those things I never really thought about doing this video in the first place. All I wanted to do was lose weight and get healthy. So I didn't actually track my story. I just, for the most part, had to go back and think which ones did I do first and how, and that type of thing. So in order to put them on here to speak with you, it's mostly non-sequential, but it is, for the most part, it's pretty close. All right, so the first thing is my motivation got activated. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But my motivation, the thing that's really going to keep you going is your motivation. So we'll talk about it in a bit, but find your motivation. And it's got to be a winning motivation. And we'll talk again, we'll get into that. So I am a believer and I believe in God. So I prayed and I listened. And then I also evaluated what was going on around me, both to my body and the things that I might have been hearing from God from. So, and then once I finally figured that I had enough information, I just went ahead and committed. I joined a gym, whereas before it was too expensive, and it just was not something I was willing to invest in at the time. So nothing else seemed to be working, and my motivation, I was gonna try the gym for like 60, 90 days and get some type of results, get something going, and I suddenly found the money for it. Right? Some of you might be thinking, well, I can't afford this or I can't afford that. Well, then you're probably gonna have to cut off something else as far as where your money goes. So basically I went and did a keto-ish diet. So I'm not here to promote the keto diet or anything of that nature, but it did help me in the long run. And we'll get into some parts where it's no longer helping me. So, but anyway, it was keto-ish. It wasn't a full keto diet. Anything of that nature. I didn't follow any particular author or anything like that, but I did follow the advice of Dr. Eric Berg, and we'll talk about him in just a minute here. But anyway. So I also did daily intermittent fasting, and that's something I had to work into, and I actually didn't know I was doing it. I was just waiting to be hungry, and that's when I was starting to eat. As far as like, I normally don't eat a big breakfast in the morning, if at all. But anyway, so then I just found that the way that we'll talk about Dr. Berg again in just a second here, but the way that he had it helped me to organize my eating patterns. It really helped me with the daily intermittent fasting. So of course, you can tell that I did not give up, right? Something didn't work. I kept trying. Maybe it was just, maybe it needed a little bit longer, that type of thing. But I just did not give up. I had a goal in mind. I had my motivation, and I was going to do it. So now I changed when change was needed. You'll experience plateaus and whatnot. I'm sure if you've been in the diet industry around long enough, then you can you understand people. You know, they drop and then they kind of level off, and they drop and level off, and sometimes they go back up a little bit and whatnot. So it's just change when change is needed. So what gets you from A to B might not get you from C to D to E, that type of thing. So just be willing to change, but don't change too soon sometimes. All right. So some sources for you to know. Number one is Dr. Eric Berg. And I'll put up a slide and links down in the links below here. So Jeff Calaliere. And then if you want to do the keto diet, I watched a lot of Keto Connect with Matt and Megha. They did a lot of food reviews, keto food reviews, and some recipes and whatnot. And they were just pretty fun to watch and knowledgeable on the whole keto diet. Now, I'm not a big proponent of the keto only type of stuff. I'm for whatever works for you, unless it's being unhealthy, right? In where I'm at, we have a thing called the Vitamin Shop. Nationwide, you might know something like a GNC. The reason I like the Vitamin Shop is it's more than just supplements or more than just vitamins. They got a good round of everything. They do have protein powders and keto stuff and all protein diet type of thing, or all meat diet. They're into everything in there. So you can just, it's a one-stop shop for me. You can get everything. Whereas some of the other national chains or regional chains, you go in and it's pretty much only weightlifting stuff. It's only protein powders and creatine and that type of stuff. So for me, Vitamin Shop. Also, if you become a Vitamin Shop member, which I'm not a sponsor by them on this at all, but if you become a Vitamin Shop member, you get points. You join their program. You spend as much money as I did, you reach that top tier. And then, of course, they gave me some nutrition coaching, and I got hooked up with, in this particular instance, Roseanne Schnell, and she helped me get into the finer details of weight loss and what you're targeting and how you can go about it and everything in that nature. So she's great. I'm sure all the other ones that are on Vitamin Shop's gold program, I believe it is, or just as well, but I worked with Roseanne and she was very, very good with me. All right. So exercise wise, muscleandfitness.com is my favorite place to go to either look at how an exercise is done, how to program, what other people are doing, the different variations, the different opinions, and they've got a lot of that going on. So muscleandfitness.com. All right. So you just type in weight loss, fat loss, whatever in Google, and you'll get everything under the sun. So the thing that I would say for you, if you wanted to follow, is say if Dr. Berg doesn't float your fancy or Jeff Calaliere isn't quite making the connection for you, any of those experts that are out there, just follow those who have actual experience with various types of people. That's going to help you out to know that this isn't just theory for them. It's they've learned, they've adjusted. So, which is what, again, you're going to have to get used to change as well. So follow anyone who actually has experience, who actually has trained people, who actually has nutrition clients, right? That type of stuff. So just a nice little warning for you, because there are some people out there that they're just a single individual and they just do a lot of reading, or they're just parroting something somebody else said. So online experts have got to know, and they've got to have that practical experience as well. All right, so Dr. Eric Berg, for those of you, I'll put a link down here. He specializes in what is called healthy ketosis and intermittent fasting. He's an author, and he's got drberg.com, DRBERG. Follow him. Jeff Calaliere, he's a physical therapist. He's a strength coach. He's at athleanx.com. and I'll put notes down there as well. Now he is, if you're female watching this, he is geared more towards men, but it's more sports oriented related. So anything that he shows you on there, maybe you feel like it's got a male dominant aspect to it, but it is for women as well. And they do have athlenexwomen.com, I believe, as well. But Jeff, his particular channel seems to get more of the views. But anyway, you can do the same stuff with what he shows you in there as well. Now, he is more sports oriented as far as like what you're training for. It's not bodybuilding type of stuff, although it plays into it. And he knows pretty much a good amount of that as well. So I encourage you to go follow him. All right. So couple of things that you do not, or you should not believe. All right. The first one is that you can't do it. So don't believe that. Like, I can't do this. I can't give up that. I always diet and I always fail. It's going to be okay. You can do it, right? If I can do it after years of believing that I couldn't lose weight because of my age or anything of that nature, then, just, you can do it. All right. So do not believe that you were born with big bones. My guess would be that bones are about the same size as bones are for everybody. The only difference is pretty much going to be, up and down, and then maybe a little bit of width as far as bones. But if you look at skeletons across, you ever see them out there? If you look at them online, they're all pretty much the same size. You don't see bones that are this big and bones that are like really tiny. You just don't see that unless it's the overall human. But you probably don't have big bones. You're just overweight, right? You're eating all the wrong things. All right. So you do not believe that you have to accept that where you are is where you'll always be. Where you are is not where you'll always be. Just, you got to remember that. All right, so you can't alleviate your health issues. Don't believe that either. Like I talked a little bit earlier, that some of my health issues did go away, or at least lessened to a greater extent. So like allergies and stuff like that, knee flexibility, joints, my breathing, my snoring, some of the other things. And we'll get into it towards the very end of this, that we talk about some of I got some heart issues. And I've also had some cholesterol issues, and that's all been, for the most part, taken away, except for the heart issues. I haven't had my final test yet to see if anything's gone on that. All right. So do not believe that food is not a medicine. You do not need medicine necessarily to lose weight. You just need to make sure that the food you're eating is benefiting you. Right. And we'll get into some of the foods that do not benefit you a little bit. All right, so do not believe the USDA dietary guidelines. All right, well, okay, maybe a good portion of it. There's some outdated information and again, this is my opinion. I know they're doing their job and they're doing what they think is right, but some of their stuff is just a little bit too outdated. And I know they've got to work with committees and the government and all that fun stuff before they can make changes or verify certain things. But for the most part, it's a wee bit outdated as far as like the food pyramid and stuff like that. So it's actually, I think it should be upside down, but I'm not the expert on that one. So, all right. So one of the first things you're going to want to do is find your motivation. What will it take you to get to the end, to your goal? So it should be long-term. It should be easy to remember, especially when it gets tough. And you should likely be tied to someone else's benefit. It should be likely tied to someone else's benefit, right? So if you give up on yourself, only you lose, right? But if you're motivated to, like, say, help raise kids better, say you're older, you're heavier, and all of a sudden you're in charge of someone else's kids, your relation's kids, they passed away or something like that, and you're now in charge. All right, so or even your own kids as well, right? So you should live to do more missions. That type of the benefit. You're going to go on missions. You're going to go help someone. It's not easy being 300 pounds and getting into a commercial seat. Think of like an airplane seat, right? There's some people who just don't fly because they know that they're going to be embarrassed about having to either get two seats or squeeze into one of them. So Live to help your parents might be a motivation, but that type of stuff, you're looking to help someone else. If I'm not healthy, then I'm not going to be around to help these particular people or persons. So for me, I wanted to be around to help raise my grandchildren a little bit, to drive my own family crazy. But it was, I didn't want to leave my family too early in life. And we'll talk a little bit about some of what I saw happening with men my age a little bit as well. So whatever your motivation is, it should be long-term, remember, easy to remember, to remotivate you when it does get tough, and it should be tied to somebody else's benefit. So I'm getting healthy to do something for this person. All right, some of the key takeaways before we really get into this details, I guess. So key takeaways are going to be what you know may not be so. You're going to have to unlearn some commentary, some common dietary truths. You're going to want to plan for the long term. Results take time. Plan for it. So, like I said earlier, mine took about 1.5 years to lose a majority of that weight. No one size fits all program or diet. So just because I started out in a particular, or most of the bulk of my weight loss came from the keto, doesn't mean that it's going to always work for you. Now, if you listen to follow Dr. Eric Berg, I'm sure it will work if you do exactly what he says, but there's other ways to get things done. So eating a high fat diet may not be for you. Maybe you want something more with more protein and carbs, that type of stuff. So, and we'll talk about particular types of carbs in a bit here as well. So I like Dr. Eric Berg's motivational thing is get healthy first to lose the weight. So what does that mean? Well, he's got you go watch his videos, he'll talk about it. So once you get healthy, you start putting the correct foods into your body will get healthier, right? And then it makes it easier because you're not trying to put out so many fires. You know, your body's trying to do all this stuff with all this junk you've been eating or incorrect items. Some people may have allergies and they just don't know it, right? And that's why they're swelling up, is because they're allergic to the food that they're eating. Not that they're sneezing or coughing or anything of that nature, but their body's like an allergic reaction. So anyway, get healthy to lose the weight. All right. So, and then again, last takeaway is find your motivation. So the overall journey, just a quick overview. I thought I was eating healthy, but I was still gaining weight. So for me, the self-talk was, it's my age. Everybody gets heavier and fatter as they age. Obviously not true. If you looked around, not everyone is overweight, but a good portion of us are. All right. So I prayed to God to reveal why over a number of years before I started in 2018. All right. So why am I gaining this weight? I'm not doing candy bars, and I'm not doing a whole lot of fast food, right? A whole lot. There's a justification for you right there. Pretty much the only times I really drank soda or soft drinks was when I was at a fast food restaurant. If I was at a sit down, I would always drink water. You know, I would do that type of stuff. So what I understood as a healthy diet, even then according to the USDA guidelines, I thought I was eating healthy according to that. So anyway, so it took a couple years to wrestle with God on that, but ultimately I think I finally started listening. Right. So I tried different ways over the years with different efforts. So sometimes I really went hard, and sometimes I just kind of gave it a half-hearted effort and just kind of just gave up. All right. So I was realizing I'm 52. So I was realizing that some men that I knew that were my same size, no one direct, but it was just kind of people that in my acquaintances, were suddenly dying. Like they just, you get a phone call or you get an email saying, hey, did you hear so-and-so died? And it's for various reasons. And they had the same body shape as I did. They had a big old belly and a nice big old thick old neck. So it just hit me that particular instance. I had like maybe 2 or 3 years where 3 or 4 people died that were my age and in the same shape. So, all right. So once I figured that was kind of one of my final motivating factors to figure out, am I going to leave my family a little bit early? So, So I was not sleeping at all. Actually, let me go back there for a second. So there was a time when if I wasn't moving, like if I sat down, I would fall asleep. So once I got in the vehicle, pretty much unless I was literally driving, and even then some cases, I was falling asleep. It wasn't lack of energy. It was just my body it was like narcolepsy almost. I would just feel it coming on and I would just have to pull over, take a quick nap, let it go, and carry on from there. And it just was not fun. There was one time when I was driving that I didn't realize that I had fallen asleep. So not only that, I wasn't sleeping very well at night. I was up going to the bathroom frequently. I didn't think I had any gallbladder bladder problems, but it was just one of those things. Like I just had to go to the bathroom, just had to. So that was keeping me up. My own snoring was keeping me up. I'd wake myself up as well. So, or sometimes it was I just woke up and then I couldn't go back to sleep, or I could wake up and then eventually go back to sleep and then I'd wake up, that type of stuff. It was just not a good thing. My wife thinks I have sleep apnea, which by the way, as far as I can tell, that's gone away as well. So now another part that happened many, many years ago was I had my gallbladder removed. So apparently you need that thing. But if the doctors were correct, I know this is a common problem. I think he said there's something, at the time there's like 100,000 gallbladder removal surgeries every day or something of that nature, or maybe a year, I don't know. It's an awful lot. Just type in gallbladder surgery amounts and I'm sure it'll come up. But anyway, I had mine removed years ago. So apparently that was part of my, or it's a piece of the puzzle as far as why I was gaining weight. It's got everything to do with fat digestion, protein digestion, and whatnot. So apparently now I still have gall, right? But I don't have my gallbladders, right? So it's just constant drip instead of collecting and then squeezing out as I eat. It's just a constant drip, and apparently your body's not designed to work that way. So, and then of course I had some other uncomfortable, we'll call them man issues. Don't want to go into too much detail on that one. I'm sure you don't want to hear it, but it was just uncomfortable. It wasn't very fun. So anyway, that was kind of where we were headed. All right. So then I got diagnosed probably 2017, 2016 or so. I can't remember exactly when, but it was anyway. So I went to the doctor to find out why I was falling asleep and why, like if I just sat on the couch, within 10 seconds, I was asleep. And it used to be a running joke with my family as well. So anyway, I went to a doctor, Dr. Allen, and he diagnosed me with hypothyroidism, which is you have a slow thyroid. So, which means it's not working when it should be working. It only responds at a delay. So if I ate my food and it would do whatever, and then my whatever chemicals and release and all that fun stuff. I'm sure Dr. Berg can tell you all that stuff. But basically, my thyroid wouldn't activate to do whatever it does with its T3 hormones and T4 hormones, whatnot. It wouldn't activate until a delayed onset. So anyway, so he put me on meds for about a year. And we started out a small dose and kept going bigger and bigger doses. And finally, and there was no relief. I was still experiencing the exact same thing. And now he did say that it was going to take a while to build up to find out what's going to trip the thyroid to start working on a regular basis. He said, so we will have to go to a higher dose ultimately, but it's easier to start low and go high. But anyway, we got pretty high. I can't remember exactly how far we went. I think we started out like if you're medical out there, forgive me, but we started out at like 0.25% of a dose, of a full dose. And then ultimately we got up to a full dose. I can't remember the milligrams and whatnot, but because I haven't taken it for like 2 years. So anyway, that's when I finally maxed out. I think the medicines also contributed to my weight gain as well. And I was taking levothyroxine. So anyway, I maxed out at 300 pounds. And for me, it was just, I had to just figure this out. So for me, desperate action was taken. It was needed. So for me, it was a deep prayer and one verse came into mind, which was Joshua 3:13. And it was just one of those, you have to get in the water and you have to walk, right? You just have to go. So don't worry about how deep the ocean is or anything like that. God's going to get you, or God's going to take care of you. But you've got to get your feet in the water first. So what I did with that was, I think it was just after Christmas or something of that nature. Maybe it was the New Year's, but I just went down to a local gym, and oddly enough, for me, they closed the day before. Like literally, say they shut their doors. So that was a bit of a blockade, because where am I going to go to work out? The next gym is like 10 miles away, and it's where we live. Traffic is just a nightmare, so it's not going to be doable. So I waited about a week, and then a week and a half or so, and I think the gym that I now joined opened up. So one door closed, another one opened, right? But I just waited it out. But I was still in the mode of, I'm going to exercise, even if I have to buy my own weights and go walking around the neighborhood. I'm going to do something. All right. So one of the other things that popped up is, I don't know how that happened, but I think I Googled it. But since I had hypothyroidism, the Dr. Allen did tell me that some of it has to do with the foods that I was eating. You know, I gave him a basic diet, and he told me all about that. So with that, I went out and after this wasn't working very well, I went out and I did a search for hypothyroidism cookbook. So with that, I forget the gal's name. If I can remember, I'll put it in the links down here. But her basic theory for hypothyroidism, as far as eating in process, was an elimination diet. So she gave a list in her cookbook of things that are helpful to a thyroid and things that are not helpful, and just in general groups and whatnot. And she gave a pretty good list. And of course, all the stuff that was not helpful, I was eating, right? So anyway, she had a pretty good cookbook, showed me what you can do with the foods that are helpful to your thyroid and what you obviously can avoid. But this is the first I'd ever heard of anything like this. But basically, she literally said, you're just going to have to strip it down to nothing, right? And then start from scratch and just work your way up. That's all you got to do. And her cookbook actually helped me with that as well. So again, I forgot the name. I still got it here somewhere, and my apologies for not giving you a shout out in this particular video, but I will put her cookbook down in there as well. So, and then of course, in the overall with that, I was getting into some of Dr. Berg's videos, because some of that came up as well. I did a YouTube search for hypothyroidism diets and type of stuff. I really wanted to get into it, and I really wanted to learn a lot. So Dr. Berg popped up and got into some of that. Other videos popped up as well, but Dr. Berg was the one that I mainly listened to. But essentially, I unlearned what I knew about nutrition. I literally had to unlearn it. The stuff that I was doing, I thought was the right road to take, apparently, especially for me, was not the right road to take. And so you're going to have to unlearn some of that as well. All right, so here's the part where what I did. All right, so I started out with the elimination diet, thyroid elimination diet. I pretty much ate only eggs, meats, and some greens. I watched a lot of Dr. Berg's videos on hypothyroidism. He's got other topics that he covers, but I watched those are the ones anything that said hypothyroidism, I watched it. I ate no breads, no pasta, no sugar, no dairy, right? Now, when I said it's elimination, I went all out, none of it. Like I literally, when food was put in front of me, if it was any one of those items, I said no. I just said, no, I'm going to get this. All right. Was it tempting to eat some of it? Yeah. But I was desperate not to die. Right. It was that motivating for me that, yeah, no, if I have to eat, I think I told my wife one time, if I eat grass and bark, then that's what I'm going to eat is grass and bark. So of course, the more I learn, the more I can get into it, and mixing the elimination diet with Dr. Berg's guidance, video guidance on his channel. I started eating more healthy fats, proteins, and I'll call them V carbs, vegetable carbs, but a limited type. So whatever Berg tells you, that's pretty much what I went with. Not that he's like the end all of everything like that. There's other videos and there's other doctors and nutritionists. Like I said, Roseanne Snell helped me out as well. But this got me started, right? Now, again, did I make some mistakes along the way? Yes, but heck, you know. All right, so also watching some of the hypothyroidism videos from Dr. Berg. Some of his intermittent fasting came up as well, because that helps the thyroid as well. So, and of course, that, for the most part, if you're not familiar with intermittent fasting by now, it's basically you just spread out the time frame that you between meals, right? So there's all sorts of variations on that theme. You can do 1 meal a day, all that fun stuff. I'm sure if you type in intermittent fasting in Google or YouTube, you're going to get all sorts of stuff on there. So, but the one of the things that really helped me out to really spread out and get a wider gap between meals was bacon. Dr. Berg made the suggestion in one of his videos that the mix of the protein and fat in a slice of bacon is just about the right proportion of protein and fat to satiate you so that you're not hungry in the next couple of hours, type of stuff. So once I got into that routine, I did find myself like maybe 9, 10 o'clock at night having a piece of bacon, and I wouldn't have to eat until about 11 o'clock the next morning. Like I had no hunger pangs, no nothing. I didn't even know that I wasn't hungry, right? Sometimes you can just feel it in your stomach, or you do it out of habit, that type of stuff. But it definitely helped me. You know, one or two pieces of bacon at relatively late at night really helped me. And then ultimately, once I got used to that, it would be 12 o'clock, 1 o'clock, and in some cases 2:30 before I even started to feel like, oh, hey, I need some energy. I need to go eat. So that is definitely one of the biggest things for me. Now, everyone out there, I'm sure, is screaming about the cholesterol and whatnot. I'll show you some numbers closer to the end of this video. My cholesterol went down. I ate a lot of bacon and my cholesterol went down. So there's something you're going to have to unlearn as well. I'm sure all the gurus out there can explain it. I know Dr. Berg has in at least 1 or 2 videos, but there you go. All I can tell you is bacon pretty much saved my life for the most part, right? All right, so for me, what I basically did with the intermittent fasting is I went from 3 meals down to basically 2, so lunch and dinner, and then from there for a while there, a good long while, I didn't even eat lunch, or I ate like maybe 5 or 6, and then had a couple of small meals between 5 or 6 in the afternoon to about 9 or 10 o'clock at night. Just kind of, it wasn't like constantly eating, but it was basically, you know, eat a little bit here, eat a little bit more, eat a little bit more with that. So, but anyway, that's the way that I did it. And as far as the diet and whatnot. So joining a gym, when I joined, I already had some previous experience from high school, from lifting weights. We had a weightlifting program, so I had a lot of that information in my head. You know, I'm sure some of the people that with better knowledge than me were probably laughing at me in the gym, lifting old school ways and whatnot. So, but for me, other people's opinion is of me. It rolls off me like water off a duck's back. It just doesn't bother me what other people think. So, but also, as far as joining the gym, like I said earlier, I just made that commitment. Said, all right, fine. If it's going to cost me $20 a month, $30 a month to join a gym, then I'll just quit eating other things. Right? We'll turn off the lights. I don't care. We'll turn off the gas. That type of stuff. We'll make it work. And of course, I made the plan for the long haul. I didn't plan to join necessarily. I was going to give the gym just a little bit of time, but overall, I think I said 30, 60 days or something of that nature. But I was looking at not just wanting that microwave generation of, I want that instant gratification now. I need that. I need the results today. I need to go be able to go do some curls, and the next you know, my arms are nice and big. I knew that that wasn't going to happen, so I played the long game and joined the gym and whatnot. So in the gym, that's where the Jeff Calaliere and Athlete X comes in. Had to unlearn some of the things that I was doing as far as lifting techniques and exercises, things. Now he's got he does more athletics, stuff like that. So he's trying to prevent injuries and stuff like that. And he sees a lot of injuries. So for watching him, he does great short little videos, very knowledgeable, got a lot of followers, and he's got a lot of practice, right? He's been able to articulate really well and succinctly why you should do something and why you shouldn't do something. Now he'll let you, he's not closed-minded on certain things, like this is the only way you should do it. He's just telling you, like in general, most people should not be doing this. And he's open to like the bodybuilding type of stuff as well. But he's really functional, really gets, just watching him just increase my knowledge on lifting weights and things to do, like say bench press. Like for me with a bench pressing with a barbell, it hurt my shoulders. I didn't know that, number one, I wasn't necessarily doing it wrong, but I've got something in my anatomy that just, it doesn't work well for me to bench press with a bar. So I do more dumbbell type of stuff. But not only that, Jeff showed you how you can get the same results and whatnot with just dumbbells, and things you can do to fix your shoulder, like, anyway, different things. So anyway, he's a great information based and experience based online trainer, I guess you'd say. But anyway, I would do that. So, and of course, his thing is also going to be, don't always go in and do the same routine each and every day. So he's going to teach you variations, kind of a running joke, but he'll talk about progressive overload. But for the most part, it's all blah, blah, blah. Go work out, right? Get in there and do something. Try not to do something stupid. Ask if you don't know how to do it. But anyway, he's really good at explaining that you need to vary things, change things up occasionally, and sometimes you just might not be able to do a particular lift. So, all right, so Vitamin Shoppe as well. We talked a little bit earlier. Vitamin Shoppe for me is more than just vitamins. It's got a wide selection, got a lot of variations, and they're not just like top sellers only type of thing where you've only got like two brands of vitamins, that type of thing. They're very open and they've got a lot of variation. Not only that, because there's going to be some brands that may not work for you. So for like me without a gallbladder, I had to start taking enzymes or bile salts, whichever way you want to look at it. Right now, I'm just taking some enzymes, and one particular brand that I was taking, it was doing okay for me, but then I switched brands just to try that out, and I was able to get more results from that the other particular brand. So that's why I like the Vitamin Shoppe, because otherwise, if I'd have gone to a regular one, I've only had like maybe the store brand and maybe one other. And there's different dosages as well. So, and Vitamin Shoppe was really good for that. All right. So, and of course, their program, their frequent buyer program is excellent. You get a lot of, you got a bang for your buck on that. Some of the stuff is maybe a little bit more pricey, but that's basically, you're going to get some benefits in the long run. So, and don't forget, after you reach a certain level, you get free nutrition, you get free certain, I won't say exercise, but you get advice, right? So anyway, so overall, that's what I did. If that's helpful to you, I hope so. You can stop watching now and just go back and listen to my ramblings. And if you're interested, you can continue on. Now we're going to get into some of the health issues, some that have been fixed and some that haven't been fixed, and some that's kind of concerning. All right. So if you're leaving us now, thank you. Appreciate it. All right. So like I said earlier, I'm a believer. So you've got to remember, as a human, you've got to remember your construction. So we are made from dust from the ground. If you look at Genesis 2:7, dust from the ground, right? So God went around the world and assembled us together. And those things need certain things to help everything operate correctly. So your fuel, your energy, your nutrition is going to benefit what you are actually made out of, and what takes away from what you're made of, right? All right, so remembering your construction, if we'll just do some quick things here. So Genesis 2:7, we're made from the dust of the ground. Genesis 1:29, Adam and Eve, or Adam is given the instructions to eat the plants and seeds. And of course, you can get into the whole, then why do we eat meat, that type of different type of stuff. But the basic diet that God instructed them to eat was vegetarian for the most part. So, and we can get into some of the other verses where God tells them now you can eat meat, that type of stuff. But for the most part, I think the original plan was to be vegetarian. I am not vegetarian, but I think that's the original goal. Genesis 3:22, basically the tree of life is basically, you notice that to have life for the most part, to keep your body going correctly, you had to eat it from a certain tree, right? So you get some long-term benefits of eating from that tree. My guess would be that particular fruit, whatever it was, had some type of antioxidant, probably had all the right aminos, or at least all of the aminos, and just the right amount of fats and carbs as well. It was just like the perfect food that helped your body correct whatever might have been damaged, right? So it's not going to fix a broken leg, but it's going to, as long as you're walking and talking, it's going to help do that. So I think that's why I think, again, we should be more plant-based, if not completely plant-based. Don't think I'm going to be vegetarian anytime soon, but again, the original plan. So Genesis 9:3, so many years past creation is when they can actually start eating meat as well. But anyway, again, not the original plan, but hey, it's in there and we can do it. So, all right, so I had to change my fuel. You're going to have to change your fuel as well. So for me, this is, I'll post it up here. I had to change from what I'm calling refined carbohydrates, I call it R carbs, to vegetable carbs, or V carbs. So that way, because once you hear the word carbs, everyone thinks you can't do anything, right? Like a no carb diet. Well, you've got to eat plants and vegetables as well. Otherwise, your system doesn't work correctly. So when I say low carb or no carb, what I mean is the R carbs, the refined carbs, the bread, pasta, pastry, sugar, beer, and grains fit into that as well too. So the V carbs are going to be vegetable carbohydrates. So vegetables, seeds, nuts, beans, that type of stuff. So those are what you're going to want to focus in on. So basically, if it comes in a sandwich, get rid of the bun and eat whatever's in the middle. Okay. So proteins and fats. So with me, and we'll get into it in just a minute here, but I had to ultimately start eating a lot less red meat and eat more nature-based fats. So like I said earlier, where bacon was my saving grace. So now I've got to cut that out because of some other issues that I discovered or had a test made. So, all right. So basically, if it comes from a manufacturing facility, don't eat it, right? Like if it didn't grow straight from the ground, get on a truck and come over here, it's probably not going to be for you. That type of stuff. So changing your fuel from R carbs to V carbs is going to help, and you're going to want to eat better quality proteins and better quality fats. So not just the fat from animals, but fats that are found in vegetables, avocados, that type of stuff, some of the nuts. So if you switch your fuel to that, you're well on your way. And that's what I did as well. So I'm not just repeating stuff up here. All right, so I'll put this up here, maybe a little video up or screenshot up here. So in 2013, I had a virtual imaging heart scan, calcium score for many of you out there, or a coronary calcium screening. And that basically, it gives you an idea of how much calcification is on the vein, your arteries in your heart, right? And of course, it depends on where it is in that on your heart that maybe cause for concern and whatnot. So when I went in, I had, in 2013, I had a calcium score and I had a mild risk and I had only 2 calcified sections on the bigger part of the artery. Again, you can see it just right in, I guess you can see it. We'll put it up here. So I've got one at the beginning and one at the end on the other area. So in 2020, now this is 2020, so I'm like about a year into, this is the first part of 2020, so I was about a year into my weight loss. So I thought everything was going to be great, and I'm going to go in there and I'm going to have a 0 score. There's not going to be any more calcification. So one of the things that they'll tell you is you can't reverse that type of stuff. Now this is partly disheartening, but it's also got some positive effects to what you're seeing up here. Is it got worse. So I did all that dieting, I got healthier, I ate better, but everything got, as far as calcification, got worse. So instead of going from mild, I went to from an 80 to a 587. So I went from mild risk to extreme risk. So much so that they called me up the next day and said, "Yeah, you need to go see a doctor because you're in the dead zone. You might as well write your will right now because you're anything and you're done." So that was a bit disheartening to lose all that weight and think you're getting healthier and your heart is doing this, right? So anyway, if the medical field calls it the widowmaker, which is basically it's the triangle of death. You get one up in this particular vein artery, sorry, and you just get that little triangle of death. And I've got 2 of those points, right? So not a good sign. One more, and I probably wouldn't be here talking to you guys. So if you look at the comparison to 2013 and 2020, I'll post it up here. But in 2013, right there where it says I think it's LMCA, basically that is no longer there in 2020. So why didn't it get worse? Why did it go away? Even though there's other areas that are bad and that have grown up, popped up, 1 out of 2 of them went away. So that tells me that there is hope. All right. And I think this is still carryover from 2013, still eating like crap, and then up into 2018, 2019, when I started my diet. So that would only be a year. So we had 6 years of buildup, and then all that stuff's going on in the background with my unhealthy eating. And then, so we got that. So of course I went to the doctor and I talked with him a little bit about that. And of course, Dr. Berg also had some advice on there as well that I followed, and I don't have any symptoms. I think a lot of this is going to go away. Won't know. I got a little while before I take another scan, but a lot of the symptoms I'm supposed to have with something like of this nature, this 2020 scan, I don't have any of that. So I don't think I've got as much of an issue anymore. Oh, it was a good scare, and I'm still, until I'm diagnosed with it being gone, then it is still there, is what my assumption is going to be. So, I'm not out trying to max out my squat or my trying to run a marathon or anything like that. So I'm playing it safe for the most part. Still exercising, still going with my diet. Just had to eliminate a few particular other items. So you might want to subscribe if you can. So when I do get updates on this, I'll post it for you, and you guys can take a peek at what's going on, and I'll post it good or bad. So, all right. So some key indicators are showing that I'm headed in the right direction. So my cholesterol is down from 2018 when I had it measured to 2020. My cholesterol went down. We'll get that in just a second. All right, so my blood pressure went down to where are we at? My blood pressure in 2018 was 125/70. In 2019, when I had that done, I was 126/70, and in 2020, it would, my last official measurement was 118/68. So I went from 126 at a high over 70 down to 118/68. So my blood pressure went down. So my cholesterol, and don't forget all that bacon that I ate during the weight loss program, my LDL cholesterol went down. So my LDL overall went down from 106 down to 97. And then I haven't had this year's taken just yet. So 106 down to 97 in 1 year's time frame. My HDL went from 42 to 63. So I'm in that safe zone. I don't know if any of you are into all this stuff. I'm just reading off of a chart here. But basically I'm in the safe zones for those particular items. Now my BMI, which is your body mass index, which I don't hold a whole lot of weight into, but in the overall, because I am weightlifting now, I've got a lot of muscle built up right now, and that weighs more than fat and skin and bones as well. So my BMI went from, I think I was like, hey, you shouldn't be moving type of stuff. But now it is, it's down. I'm down into like a 30% or something of that nature, or in a 30, I forget how they track it. So my CAC score, which is the calcium score, again, we talked about that, but overall, even the calcium overall went down, even though the indicators on my heart were a little bit disheartening. All right, so with the heart issues popping up, or potential heart issues popping up, I went and talked with my Dr. Allen, and of course, his thing was, you need to go on a vegetarian diet. So for the most part, I did. I cut out a lot of red meats, and Roseanne Snell from Vitamin Shop also recommended more fish, lean meats, and limit dairy. So a lot of that stuff I was already kind of doing anyway, as far as no dairy and whatnot. But now I had not been eating a whole lot of fish. I was doing chicken, turkey, red meats, pork, that type of stuff. So mixing with Dr. Allen and Roseanne Snell's recommendations, I went with more fish than I did anything else, and I did a whole lot more salads, and avoided certain nuts and stuff like that as well. So one of the suggestions that I took from Dr. Berg was to have more vitamin D3, K2, B8 or IP6, whatever they're calling it now, and a whole lot more magnesium. So, and of course, so if you're curious, what that does is, what K2 does is if you get enough K2, it'll take the calcium that's in your soft tissue and put it back in like your bones and stuff, that type of stuff. D3 just kind of helps with K2. IP6 or B8, vitamin B8, is a chelator, and that helps remove certain minerals from where they're not supposed to be. So, and of course, the magnesium counters the overaction of calcium with the heart muscles. So magnesium is going to help literally in that particular area. It's going to help out with that. It's going to do other stuff in your body as well, but that's one of the things. So basically, it's a multi-pronged attack as far as dealing with the calcification on my heart, which is also why I think that I don't have any of those red flags for having blockages in calcified arteries, right? So when I changed all that, I lost 8 more pounds from wherever I was at. I can't remember. I don't think I documented it, but I just remember talking to my wife saying that I had lost 8 more pounds in about a month, switching, adding these vitamins and switching my diet up a little bit more. So I went from keto to more lean meats, more fish, and more vegetarian. But that, like instead of having a meat for dinner, I would have a salad or something of that nature, that type of stuff. So not completely vegetarian, I'm still not, but it helped out definitely with all that. All right. So, and again, if you want to stay updated, subscribe, and whenever I get the new results, I will post those. All right. So this is pretty much the end of it. I'm sorry for the rambling and the side going back and forth, but again, I plan to just kind of go through this with a PowerPoint at some classroom somewhere or something of that nature and just take questions and whatnot. So, all right. So there will be more to come for you. Keep your motivation up. Again, pick the right motive, make it be for someone else, that it benefits someone else so that your kids can give you kids type of stuff and you can be around for it. So healthy nutrition first. So no refined foods. Weight loss will follow, like Dr. Berg says. Get healthy first, the weight will come off. So don't give up. Some of that stuff you might have a good addiction built up into. Just keep working at it. Just keep going. All right. If you're going to be, you don't have to exercise to lose weight. Just nutrition alone will do that for you. It all depends on how you want your body shape to look like. So if you don't lift or exercise much, then you're pretty much going to be a stick. And if that's what you want, that's fine. Now my frame, I've got the upside down triangle frame. So for me, weightlifting helps. What is it? Body positivity, whatever your motivation is. But anyway, progressive overload for exercise. Better diet is going to make better muscle building and better metabolism. So things are going to be flowing through you more correctly. You'll get the correct nutrients. You'll get rid of the stuff that you don't need to have anymore. All right. So your synergy of nutrition, exercise, your mentality, and your patience. You're going to have to merge them all together, and they're just going to have to stay in line together. So just don't do it with nutrition alone. You're going to have to add some mentality, and you're going to have to add your patience in there. You don't have to exercise. It's going to definitely help speed things up, and it's going to be like the cherry on top. But get all four of those in line and working together. All right. So I just said patience. I'm going to say patience again. Plan for at least 30 days before seeing any particular changes. 30 days before you see anything. You may not see the scale drop, but you might see a little bit more of your chin. Your clothes might be fitting a little bit looser, that type of stuff. So you'll get mixed advice on whether to stay on weigh yourself every day or not. I never did when I was going through it. I really wasn't concerned about it. I just wanted to be able to know that I was doing something. I felt it. If I couldn't feel it or see it, then it probably wasn't working. So I weighed myself like maybe once a week or 2 weeks. And even then, sometimes I'd wait a month or so just to see if there was any major weight loss overall. But again, I could see it coming off ultimately. But it took me about 30 days before I even felt something. I could definitely tell that my neck was getting smaller. If you go back and look at that picture, I've got a pretty big neck right there. So, all right. So that's pretty much all I got for you. My little notes here are telling me that, again, remind you, subscribe for updates. I'll post all the links I can below. And if you got any questions, please ask me. I'll do my best to monitor this channel. And of course, I do want to say thank you. I appreciate you sitting through all this, and I hope it helps. And God bless.